Hi, hello, welcome.
Hey, hey, you have tuned in to Sam and Erica's first podcast episode. Here we go. Welcome. Tell us, what is this podcast going to look like? What are we doing
Yeah,
here?
what are we doing here? Well, for those of you who don't know us, I'm Sam. My partner here is Erica, and we're two English teachers. And we have a channel on YouTube where we create fun, funny, entertaining, and educational content for language learners and also English teachers. And we are trying something new.
We
We are
are, yep.
trying a podcast.
Yep, we've had the YouTube channel together for a year and a half about. And our videos are really, there's specific vocabulary or phrases that we're teaching, usually through story format. But we thought it might be fun to do a different format, being a podcast. And our idea is it would be more conversational. So students, people learning English, can have some listening practice, listening to two native English speakers, having conversations about all kinds of topics.
And we will pepper in some more educational content. For example, talking about idioms, slang, things that people say that you're not going to find in your classic English class. And also funny stories or things that we sort of find interesting to talk about. We'll comment on some current events, I'm sure, or as the year goes along, different holidays that pop up, celebrations, and such. So we'll try to keep it relevant and try to keep the content new and fresh. And we hope it will be a great resource to practice listening if you're in an English class. So you can have some extra listening to two native speakers talking together and hopefully pick up some new phrases and new language to use.
That's right.
Um,
Yeah. I I definitely have listened to podcasts as practice, mostly Spanish. And it's nice because usually I listen to them when I'm walking somewhere, going to the grocery store, cooking, something mindless where I can be listening and learning at the same time, or, driving. Um, and so they've definitely been helpful for me learning languages. So I
yeah,
hope.
I have several idioms in mind that I learned from a podcast that I listened to in my first or second year living in Spain, and I'm very grateful for that podcast because it taught me things that I maybe wouldn't have learned in my in my Spanish class.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and then you end up hearing people use those idioms and you're like, "Hey, I know what that means. Like
Wait a
I've heard that on
second,
my
yeah,
podcast." Yeah.
yes.
So,
So yeah, right. We are both language learners, Erica and I. We've both practiced learning several different languages. I think our
mhm.
biggest language learning journey has been with Spanish.
Yeah,
Would
for
you agree
sure.
with that?
Oh yeah, it's been a long journey for me. I think I
Yeah,
started when I was 12.
yeah,
I mean,
same.
like,
Yeah, I was like 10.
were you? Okay.
Yeah.
It's been off and on for me. So, off and on,
Hmm.
meaning sometimes I've been studying it, sometimes I've taken long breaks, but yeah.
Yeah, same. And we've both gotten to the point where we live in a Spanish speaking country, and so the journey continues. But it's not all smooth sailing, it turns out. There are some bumps along the way, and I thought a great way to start this first podcast episode would be to share some of those those bumps, maybe
Mhm.
something embarrassing that happened to us while learning a new language, while trying to speak a new language, because it happens to everyone, and it's no reason to be discouraged. So I was
Yep.
wondering, do you have a story like that, Erica?
Yeah, I don't have any crazy stories, but I was trying to think back. When I lived in Norway, I was going to Norwegian high school, and I remember we were doing some group project. So I was working with these Norwegian kids, and I was trying to pronounce the word folk, um, which is like the same in Norwegian. And so I was saying, yeah, folk, 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 and they were like getting really embarrassed. They're like, "What are you?"
Folk as in people, like people.
Yeah, as in people. Yep.
Folk.
Yeah, but
Okay.
like I feel like at least the way I learned how to pronounce it in English, I didn't really pronounce the L. But in
Hmm.
Norwegian, you do need to pronounce the L. So they thought I was dropping the F bomb like over and over, and they were like, "What are you saying?
Oh
Stop
no.
saying that!" And I was like, "I'm trying to say this like really common word." Um, so that happened.
The F bomb being a major swear word, which we will not say now, but
So let's
they
say
thought you were swearing quite
the
heavily.
F word, yeah, in English, and I'm
The
like,
F
"Why would I
word. Uh-huh.
be saying that?"
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. But that was just a
And
silly
and
pronunciation mistake.
who were these people? Were
They
they
were my
people that you needed
classmates.
to? Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So it's not like they were at a people you needed to impress, or
No,
who
no,
needed
it's just
to
like
issue you a visa.
no, but it's funny how like one tiny little pronunciation difference. I think especially with short words. Like I think if you mispronounce
Mhm.
something in a short word, it's like total, the
Right.
listener's totally lost.
I think so too, yeah, because there's only so many, like, letters and sounds that can give them a clue to what you are trying to say.
Right. Because if you have a longer word and you mispronounce a part, like, our brains can fill in the gaps and be like, oh, they're saying this. But
Mhm,
if it's like one
mhm.
syllable, you're like, just have less to work
So
with.
true.
Yeah.
That's so
How
true.
about you? Do you have any embarrassing stories?
I do. I'm sure there are more, that I have blocked out or just don't recall. But I remember vividly in my first weeks in Spain, I had to process my residency card. And so I was looking for this official building, and I had no idea where it was, no idea what it looked like, no idea what I was looking for. I think someone had told me I had to go to the police department. So I speak very limited Spanish at this point, and I'm looking around and I see this sign, and it says poli, which I'm like, oh, poli, police. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Like I knew that there was a
Yeah.
similar word. And then the next word, deportivo. And I was like, deportivo, depart, right?
Right.
Police department. Okay, so this must be it. So I go in with my paperwork and I'm like, I'm trying to, like, excuse me, can you help me with this? I need the residency card. And the nice man, he just like escorted me outside, and he was like, you need to go this way down here to the right. This is the building. Because it turns out Poli Deportivo is the
The
how
gym.
would you describe it? It means many games.
Many
Yeah, it's the
the
gym.
sports center.
It's
Yeah.
the sports, exactly. It's the sport activity center.
Yeah.
So I was at, like, basically the basketball court asking for them to process my residency
They're
papers,
like, lady,
and that was
you're way
pretty.
off. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
you're not
funny.
even close.
Oh man.
Yeah,
That's funny. I like
yeah,
how you were trying to deduce. Like sometimes I do that too, where you're like, oh, well, this must be this, and this is close to this. And then sometimes
yeah.
it's just
I
way
was
off.
like, I figured it out. I figured it out. And I hadn't. I hadn't. And that's kind of the position you have to put yourself in a lot of times when you don't speak the language, is
That's
take
true.
an educated guess.
That's true. I think of it like I used to be into snowboarding I mean, I am into snowboarding, but I live in Spain where it's not as possible to snowboard. But I always told myself if I wasn't falling like at least a few times during the day, then I wasn't pushing myself hard enough. Like I wasn't like going
That's
at
right.
doing it as well as I could. And I tell my students the same thing when they're speaking English. I'm like, you should be making mistakes and you should feel a little uncomfortable because you're practicing a new skill. And with that comes bumps in the road, maybe embarrassing moments, but also you're never gonna forget that embarrassing moment, and you're never gonna make that mistake again if it's
It's true. It's true. It's a learning opportunity. Yeah, I think that's really nice. If you're not making mistakes, then you're not trying new things, and that's in the end the point of learning the language is learning new words and being finding new ways to express yourself.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
beautiful. Well, we hope to be your guides or help you on your learning path, your learning journey.
Exactly. And if
Um,
you have any ideas for what you'd like to hear us talk about, or things in the news, or anything that you might be interested in hearing about, let us know in the comments or send us a message. We'd love to get some more ideas.
Definitely. Yes. We are open and available to ideas and yeah, and having this be more of a conversation including our listeners would be ideal. So we would love your input.
Exactly.
Okay, well, I think that's it for episode 1.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in, and we're really excited to get some more episodes out there. So, stay tuned and we'll see you in the next one.
Woo! See you next time.